This is our class for bending. I'm going to show you we have two formulas, a 45-degree formula and a 30-degree formula. So our first step, again, for our 45 is to take 1.41. Shit can it. Stop. Okay guys, this is our pipe bending segment. What we're going to do here is we have, let's say this is a 10-inch high box we got to cover, an air duct, 15 inches wide. It could be a beam, air duct, anything. So we got to do a saddle over this. So we got to figure out our equation to get our pipe dead center over this box. So the first thing we do is it's 10 inches high. We're going to go a 45-degree bend. So our multiplier is 1.41 times 10 inches equals 14.1 inches. Okay. Then we got to take our 14.1 inches. Use the multiplier for our shrinkage for a 45-degree bend is 0.707. Okay, so 707 times 14, you get 9.97. Then you have to take your 14.1 minus the 9.97 and 4.13 total inches of shrinkage you're going to have to add to your 44 inches you wanted the center mark. So I'm coming 44 plus the 4.13, so now my new center mark is 48.13 inches to get direct center of my duct or whatever I'm crossing. Okay, so bends 1, 2, 3, and 4. Our multiplier of the 1.41 for 14.1 inches is the difference between bends 1 and 2 and bends 3 and 4. 14.1 on each side. That stays the same. Now, our center mark, you got to figure we have 15 inches wide. We're going to want to go at least 17 to clear each side by an inch. So we're going to go 17 inches, so that's 8.5 from our center mark. So we're going to go mark our pipe at 48 1/3 inches, or 13.13, 8.5 to each direction to bends 2 and 3, and then 14.1 between bends 3 and 4 and between bends 1 and 2. Now we'll bend that pipe, we should be right on the money. This is 1. This is the same formula, but using a 30-degree bend, okay? So on a 30-degree bend, our multiplier is 2. So 10 times 2 is 20 inches. So automatically we know between bends 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, we're gonna have 20 inches, okay? Now we gotta figure out our shrinkage. So shrinkage for 20 inches, the shrinkage for a 30-degree bend, the multiplier is 0.866. So 20 times 0.866 is 17.32. 20 inches minus 17.32 equals 2.68 inches of shrinkage. So we're going to have to add that to our center point of 44 inches. 46.68 is now the center mark of our whatever we're crossing, or box, it could be a beam, anything. So we're going to turn around, that's our new center mark. You're going to have to work, we're going to do the same thing, 15 inches, 8.5 on each side from our centers to bends 2 and 3, then 20 inches in between. We're going to turn around, I'm going to go bend this and show you this. And then again, remember our 90-degree stub ups gains, 1/2 inch is 5, 3/4 6, 1 inch is 8, 1 1/4 is 11. That's for EMT, okay? Or that's for the bender. Let's get that right, okay? So I'm going to show you all these stub ups over there. 45-degree bend that we bent already, okay? See, we got you want to make sure you're level going on your bend. You want to make sure it lands flat going out on each side, that it's not raised up in the air. And we turned around and we got our 44 inches to our center mark, came right out on the money. Lay out our pipe for our 30-degree bends, okay? It was 46.68, so that's about 46 5/8. So we're marking to the center of our pipe, 46 5/8, that's our center mark, okay? Now each direction, we're gonna do our 8.5 inches to get our 17-inch span. This is bend number 2. This would be bend number 3, okay? Now, the multiplier for that 30 for our 10-inch rise was 20 inches. So we got to go 20 between bends 1 and 2. So there's the mark for bend number 1, bend number 2, bend number 3. And we're going to go our 20 inches. This will be bend number 4. Okay, so now we're going to bend this piece of pipe. Let's get it all ready. And you see how I put that center mark, so I know not to bend that one. You don't want to get confused and bend the wrong one. Okay, let's get this pipe bent. I'm going to lay this on the ground. I'm going to start this way. Okay, again, on the bender, guys, this is the arrow. That's for your 90-degree stub ups. This is the slot or the teardrop. That's what you use for the center of your offsets. This is your star for back-to-back bends, okay? Okay, so let's turn around. Being this is an offset, we're going to be using our slot or the teardrop. So I'm going to put the teardrop right on there. Good to go. Now there's also these lines that will help you bend 30, 45, 60. So you can get close with the lines. You want the line parallel with the pipe. You don't want to make it where it's more or less. Okay, I'm using my level to get the true 30. And that's pretty close right there. Just a little bit more. Okay, like it. Now we got to turn around, flip the pipe over, bend our second bend. Now when you're doing this, you want to do whatever it takes to avoid your dog legs. The dog leg is a twist in the pipe. So you want to turn around. It's kind of like staring straight down the barrel of a gun. Okay? Want to make sure you're right. I look pretty good. We're going to put our foot down to hold the bender from slipping out. And we're going to bend it right to about our 30-degree mark right there. Okay? Now we're going to keep going to our next mark. There's our next mark. This is bend number 3. Keep it going. Make sure it looks straight. Stare down the barrel of our gun so it doesn't bend. Oop, I went too much on that one. We're going to have to take some out of that one, I guarantee. Went too far on him. So, let's turn around and look at the level and make sure we get him right. See, he's too far. You see how I'm taking out some of that bend. That's pretty good. Okay, now we've got our last bend to do. I'm going to turn around, get him, hold him up for me right there. There we go. If you notice, see, you can't just do everything on your feet sometimes. Sometimes you got to go ahead. So here I am. I'm staring it down. I got my spots marked. I look good. I like it. I'm bending. Okay. That looks pretty good right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the pipe on the ground and see how we look. I want to check to see, am I level? Am I coming up on each end? Did I get my right distance? See, so through the middle, I'm pretty level. I'm a little bit high on this side. Coming up high. Let's measure the... What happened is we just measured and we were just a little bit short on our 10 inches. So I'm having to put just a little bit more in each one of these bends. And I mean, I am barely moving this. You see how much I'm moving it? Barely moving it. Because when you're doing your adjustments, it doesn't take much to do the adjustments. Okay? Okay, so let's turn around. I like it. How do we look now? Let's get a measurement. Still take. Okay, we're high on this side no matter what. So let's see where we're at. We want to measure, see, because we're over our 10 now. So we need to take some out of this side. So you see how I just barely play with him? And now we need to took out just a little bit too much. So when you guys are doing this, 90% of the time you have to do slight little tweaks and modifications to make it look good. And it's worth the time because that pipe's going to be there forever. And you want your work to look pristine, period. I mean, it's worth the second or two it takes to just take them, you know, just give it a little tweak. I need to give this a little tweak because it was coming up off the ground. Not much. Now, do you see when I say little tweak, you see how I'm just barely bending the conduit, okay? I mean that because it doesn't take hardly anything to bend just that little bit that we're looking for. So all I'm doing right now is just taking just a little bit out of that so it'll sit flat on the ground, okay? See how each end now sits flat on the ground when it leaves? And are we level across our center? No, we're still high on the one end. And if I'm still high, that's... Okay, so we're still high. So what I need to do is this side, I need to take a little bit more out of it. So what I'm going to do is you'll see me turn around, get my bender point, make sure I'm straight. See how I'm going to take some out? And I'm going to take some out of this one. Turn him around. Okay. Now you see on the end how we're off the ground on that end now. But let's get our center point correct. Okay, we're right at our 10 inches, pretty close to it. Actually need to put just a tad back in it. I think I took too much out. See, but we're level now. So, let's take just a little bit. Take some out of him, he's aiming up. You like it? That's pretty good. Okay. And we got our 10 inches. Okay. So, you see how now where it leaves the ground, we're level on both ends, we're flat coming out. Let's measure our 44 inches to make sure we're the same. Right next to our bend right here. This should be. Could make him just a little bit higher if I wanted to. But our center mark is right here. So we hit both of our center marks right on the money. So if you see our 44 from the end, again, we're right on the money for our 44. So the difference in the degrees of the bends, you can see the difference between the 45s and the 30s. What we were talking about with this is, you see how much more space is required for a 30-degree bend compared to a 45. You know, you're better off bending 30s because you can put a lot more bends in the pipe for your total 360 degree. So, but sometimes space won't allow you and you'll have to use 45s. Time you cut your pipe, I just cut it with my Sawzall. You're going to need what's called ream your ends. And this is a reamer. So the reamer turns around and cleans your end. We're now, because if you didn't ream your end, when you pull the wire through there, what's it going to do? Fillet the jacket. So you want to take your ends and ream them. Okay, let's do a 90-degree stub up right now. So let's say we want to do a 10-inch stub up. So we're going to measure 10. So again, this is ½ inch. We're going to have 5 inches of gain. So to get a 10-inch stub up, I'm going to go right to 5. Okay? So we're going to go to 5. we're going to take it to the arrow on our bender, okay? So the arrow right there. Now when you're bending, you want to make sure your foot pressure is important than anything. I'm using my foot to turn around and hold to bend this, okay? To hold this down. Okay, so we're pretty close, maybe a little more for a 90, okay? So there's our 90. And right here, you're gonna take it and, what do you know, 10 inches on the money here. So let's say we want to come, let's say 24 inches, and I have to stub up now. So we'll go 24 inches. I'll mark my 24, you see, and I want to stub up right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 24 to my star. You see my star right there? Okay, so I should turn around. We'll get this, like this, okay? Now, I'm gonna bend up. Okay. Now, anytime you want to do adjustments, you could take the bender handle, see if I did a little dog leg right there, I could straighten it out. If I need to pull it back, I can, you know. Okay, so now, we should have exactly 24 to the top. And what do you know? It's right at 24. So that's what we mean by a back-to-back bend. I came from this bend, and I bent it up, and I'm exactly 24 inches to the very back of the bend. Degree stub up for this 3/4, and I'm going to do a piece of 1 inch just to show you the difference on how hard it is to bend. So let's say if I want to do a 17-inch stub up, I'm going to have to minus 6 inches for my gain. So I'm going to go to 11. We'll mark it. We'll get our, this is a 3/4 bender. They're all the same. There's your star, there's your slot, there's your arrow. Okay, they all have the lines for your degrees. Now the higher you get, or the larger pipe size you guys get, the harder it is to bend. There's like 1/2 inch is easy to bend. 3/4 kind of easy. You get into 1 inch now. You see, I'm having to put my weight into this. Okay. Now, anytime I'm using my hands, but I'm really using my foot to make sure I'm good. Need a little more. That looks pretty good. And we should be right at 17. Right on the money. Very cool. Okay, guys? Going to be a stub up on this 1 inch conduit. Now, when it comes to bending 3/4 and especially 1 inch, you got to have a little weight behind you guys, because I remember when I first started, it was kind of hard. So let's say if I want a 20-inch stub, okay? So I'm going to have to minus my 8 inches of gain. I'm going to go directly to my 12, turn around, same thing, get my arrow, again, same bender, but look at how much bigger the bender is now, but same thing, star, slot, arrow. I'm going to turn around, get my mark right on my arrow. Okay, get it on the ground. Now, to bend this, see how I have my hand holding? And I have all my weight, and look at how much time it takes to bend. See how I'm keeping all my weight? Now, if you don't keep your foot weight, you're going to kink your pipe. So you got to be square. See how I have all my weight on my foot, kind of hopping around on my back foot? Turning around. Now that I can get it, I'm going to turn around and grab it like this and get it bent. Okay, we're pretty straight. That looks pretty straight, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so Let's measure. We should be right at 20. 20 inches. Okay, now the biggest thing is you see inside the bend here, see how there's no ripples. If you get ripples or kinks inside the bend, you're going to have to cut it and redo the pipe. So that's pretty much our video on bending for today. These are the 3 different benders that we use today. This is a 1/2 inch bender, this is a 3/4, and this is a 1 inch. Just look at the size difference. Look at the handle alone for the 1 inch because you're bending so much bigger conduit. When it comes to rigid, to bend 1/2 inch rigid, I have to use a 3/4 bender. See, it says 3/4 EMT, 1/2 inch rigid. See how it says 1 inch EMT, 3/4 rigid. So anytime you're bending rigid conduit, you have to use the formulas for the next size up. So if you're going to do a stub for a piece of 1/2 inch rigid, you don't use 5 inches, you use 6 because you're using a 3/4 inch bender for 1/2 inch pipe. And you see how that says 1/2 inch EMT only, because you can't bend no rigid with that.